the California Professional Divers Association, and I'm going to be your instructor today. We're going to discuss the differences between three different cleaning tools used by hull cleaners to clean the bottoms of boats. And they are the handheld carpet, not a shag carpet, but a deep pile. Shag carpet just does not work. Also, we're going to examine the Scotch-Brite scrub pad. And we're going to look at the slowly rotating non-abrasive nylon brush. And the way this brush works is that the diver does not hold it up against the hull, pushing and pressing. As this brush goes around, it creates a vacuum in this area right here, and the outside pressure of the water forces it against the hull. It's actually very, very painless for a diver to use. Once a diver gets onto it, he can get into 100% of the areas on a boat, do it one-handed. And this here is the 32 thousandths brush head. In this presentation, the California Professional Divers Association is going to show scientific reasons why the use of the power rotary nylon brush should not be restricted by the port. In fact, after we examine the science comparing the Scotch-Brite and the nylon brush, the port should consider requiring that all hull cleaning be performed with a slowly rotating nylon brush. I'm going to explain slowly rotating. Things are in relativity. If you look at the standard shop grinder, the right angle grinder that you see in metal shops, they spin at 11,000 revolutions per minute. And the high-speed grinder goes at 20,000 revolutions per minute. The nylon brush spins at a mere 400 revolutions per minute as it glides across a painted hull. Glides and sweeps. It does not dig into and gouge out bottom paint. The 12-inch nylon brush people use will not leave a signature of any kind of scratch in the paint. The nylon rotary brush is the best and least abrasive tool for cleaning bottom paint. But so you say, what about the handheld carpet? Yes, the handheld carpet is also non-abrasive. But this is a problem. After 6 months, the carpet will stop working. It just slides across the growth. And at that time, the diver will have to move up to a different pad. Okay, now we're going to look at the science and the origin of the science. Here's the cover page. We're going to zoom in on that. Here's the title page. We're going to zoom in on that, and you can read that. Okay, the next panel I want you to look at is Table 2. This is found on page 17 of a 64-page study by the AMEC, Earth and Environmental Incorporated. You'll see on this panel that it addresses 4 areas for modified epoxy and 4 areas for hard vinyl paint. Those areas that they address are after 1 month of fouling, after 3 months of fouling, then they're examining the amount of copper that comes off from dissolved copper. And the other is 1 month after fouling, the particulate, the particles. The particles are those particles that are larger than 50 micron. Here again, after 1 month and after 3 months. We're going to go to the next panel. We're going to isolate the carpet and the nylon brush, taking out the scouring pad for purposes of clarity. There are 8 categories, and we're going to compare the carpet with the nylon brush in all 8 of these categories. The carpet, a low score is a good score. So the tool with the lowest score is going to be the winning tool. In this evaluation here, we're going to see that the carpet scores better in 5 of the 8 categories. It's almost 4 to 4 because one of the categories is very close, but it goes to the better score goes to the carpet. Now I'm going to move on, but if you want to examine this here panel more closely, hit pause and take your time to ingest it. The next panel that we're going to examine, I've edited out the carpet. Now don't forget, we discovered that the carpet is really a non-tool. After 6 months, divers do not use the carpet. So the competition is really between the Scotch-Brite and the nylon brush. And in this next panel, we see, well, I've edited out the plus and minus. That's going to cause confusion. Yes, there is a plus and minus, but the point of this here next panel is that the nylon brush is far and away, it wins in all 8 categories, the best tool for cleaning bottoms. You have to ask yourself, why does the rotary brush have such a bad reputation? Well, for one thing, it's a machine, and that alone makes it a very suspect tool. About 10 years ago, I had rigged my brush head with a prop polishing device. And it looks a lot like this. Very short, very mean, very stiff bristles. And one of my divers was cleaning a boat, and he used that brush, the prop polishing brush, on areas of a hull of one of my customers' boats. Well, that boat was hauled out at Nielsen Beaumont Boatyard, and the owner of the Nielsen Boatyard was very alarmed, justifiably so, when he saw these swirls and 4-inch circles in the bottom paint. And he informed a lot of people about that vicious machine. However, and he was right, the paint was damaged. Our only disagreement between myself, my company, and the yard was that the paint was 1 year old, and yes, it had some scratches, but it was very manageable for another year, and to serve the customer better, the boat did not need to be repainted, but the yard manager did repaint it. Not all yard managers have the same opinion of the nylon rotary brush. Here I'm going to show a quote from Wayne Morrison, yard manager for Shelter Island Boatyard. He's a man with 30 years of experience, and he's seen lots and lots of boats. And here's his quote. I asked him, could I, because he had said this in a conversation. I said, Wayne, can I quote you to saying that? He said, yes, you can. And what the quote is, I paint boats that come into this yard that have received monthly cleaning from a diving service that uses a power nylon brush. I find that these boats have less paint missing and less bare spots after 3 years than boats that have not been cleaned with a nylon brush have in just 2 years. We have one last panel to look at, and that is the July 2010 Best Management Practice for the nylon rotary brush. Now, we grade paint as good, fair, and poor. And going forward, we're going to submit this here BMP for nylon brushes to the Port District for approval as being a accepted BMP for nylon brush. While the paint is still good, the brush to be using is a 28 thousandths bristled brush. When the paint becomes fair, and that's usually in the second year, after 18 months, going into the second year, they use a 32 thousandths bristled brush. When the paint becomes poor, and clearly after 2 years, you continue to use a 32 thousandths bristled brush. But in San Diego, when bottom paint becomes poor, we're going to increase the frequency to every 14 days using the 32,000 bristle brush. The difference between this last BMP and the previous BMP for the nylon brush is that the suggested use of a 40 thousandths or 50 thousandths brush isn't here. Don't use it. We don't need it. If we go to 14 days, we can get the boats clean without to beat up the paint anymore with the 40 thousandths or 50 thousandths. So, for the above stated reasons, the port should not restrict the use of the nylon brush. It is the gentle muscle.